Well, how do I find the time to make art? That's a very good question. So that's why I thought I'd create a little vlog about it while playing a time lapse of what I've just done in the last day or so. We got the final print copy of Super Scout back from Elijah and Crumpet, and we realised some of the wording needed updating and changing. So just going in to change a bit of that. But where do I find the time to do that is the thing. So welcome to vlog 3. I'm just going to try and go through the things that I've learnt and hopefully remind myself that I can actually do it, because I've been spending a lot of time on our business, which is a cafe art gallery, as well as being a dad. And so the cafe gallery, for instance, takes up a lot of time. It was 7 days a week. It's now 6 days a week. It's almost 12 hours a day, plus being a dad. How can I actually be an artist? Because I find when I'm not being an artist, I'm actually pretty miserable, and it kind of eats away at me. I just want to create something, even if it's a little bit. So I need like a creative outlet for my mental health. So one thing I would say for finding the time to create art, one of the first kind of challenges that I have is something that I think exists, and I've heard mentioned a few times, is art guilt. Now, art guilt is something that you kind of get as an adult, and you think, well, there's always a million other things that I can be doing. I should be doing the dishes, cleaning the house, doing the accounting, looking after the kids. There's always something that will be in the way of doing your art. And I'm not saying you throw those things out the window, but there's a certain amount of guilt that comes when you do actually create the time to create art, because, you know, doing art is enjoyable and it feels a little bit selfish in a way, I suppose. So that's one thing you kind of need to get over, is the art guilt, because it's actually good for your mental health to create art. And if you're good mentally, then you're good for all those other things, I think. So I think first up, I've been roughly logging my week. Where do I spend my time and where I can find little bits of time. And I've done a couple of these vlogs in the morning. So I've been setting up the cafe. I set that up about 5:30 and at 6 a.m. before I open the doors at 6:30 at the cafe. I do a little live stream of the sketching, the illustrating that I've been doing. And that way I can kind of, if I try and keep that regular, that keeps me doing it. And that also shows off what I've been working on. So by creating something regular like that, it works well. Also, being able to do a couple of things at the same time. I saw a vlog recently where Sketchbook School, I think it's called, where he draws a picture every time he makes himself a cup of tea. He's got a notepad by the kettle. Every time he turns on the kettle, he does a drawing. So finding these little, even tiny little pockets of time to create your art, and you know that can kind of add up after a while. So there's those times. Also those times I said, like at the start of the day, are really helpful. And also, like what I'm doing at the moment, which isn't really sustainable, is my kids wake me up usually once in the middle of the night, and so when they wake me up, I go, okay, I'm awake now. While I'm sitting with them, you know, to go back to sleep, I do about half an hour to an hour's drawing on the iPad. Now, they might not wake me up one night, but pretty much on a regular basis they'll wake me up. So, so that's when I do my drawing. This editing, which I did for the kids' book, I actually did at work, because I don't actually take any breaks. So when I do take breaks, I go out and spend 10 minutes or so at a time on the iPad, just continuing the work so it doesn't actually stagnate. So yes, we've already had that one. And that's the other thing, is keeping, so like I said, is having my iPad with me. I always carry around a little bag which has a sketchbook in it, pencils in it, and I carry around my iPad pretty much everywhere I go. So if, you find yourself at a loose end, you've got something to do. I mean, that's not always possible if you're a large-scale painter or something like that, but even if you're a painter, maybe you want to do some initial sketching or sketching ideas or something like that, something small scale that you can do, that you can carry around with you, which means that when you do have a little dead bit of time, you can create some art, or have a plan of how you're going to use social media and say, in that little space of time that I have, I'm going to do my Instagram posts or something like that, something that just progresses it, because obviously being an artist and being a successful artist relies upon getting out there and getting across social media platforms, not just actually creating the art itself. Unless you just want, unless you're just happy creating the art because it makes you happy, that's fantastic. That's great. That's good enough reason to do it. You don't have to be getting your art out on social media if you don't want to, but if you want to start earning an income from it, that's one of the things that you have to do. It's the marketing thing. So I carry those things around with me all the time, and I'm ready to go at any given time. Now, the problem is the time might arise and you don't feel very good at all, or just aren't feeling it. And so this is probably the hardest thing to do, is actually stay healthy. And I know there's lots of things that I can do. Number one, is to try and have a good night's sleep, even though I might be having a drawing session right in the middle of it, but it's kind of the only time I get. I just got distracted by the thing taking a photo, and I wasn't really taking a photo anyway. It was when I was sending it off to Rob from Elijah and Crumpet to get him to check the spelling and everything. Anyway, so yeah, staying healthy, staying on top of your health, eating good, exercising, getting enough sleep. It's the same old thing. It's not anything new. We all know what we need to do to probably feel better. And it's just a matter of doing it so that when the time does come, we don't feel all lazy and lethargic and just go, no, I just couldn't be bothered. And scroll social media, because if you're going to be on social media, you might as well be marketing your artwork rather than scrolling, because if you go into your screen time on your phone and see how much time you actually spend on social media anyway, that's a fair indication of how much potential time you might have to create your art anyway. So I know, as I said, you've got to be on social media a bit anyway to be able to promote and post your art and things like that, but possibly not to the hours and hours that might spend on social media. I don't know. And the other one is making yourself accountable, and I did that really well, I thought, with creating Super Scout, which is I found a spot where, at least for an hour every night, as I put the kids to bed, I could do a live stream once they'd fallen asleep, and I could spend about an hour drawing the Super Scout book. And so I went live every night for an hour, pretty much every night, and I'd do the live stream, and Rob from Elijah and Crumpet would join me on the live stream, and we would talk about edits as we went, and it was, it was accountable. It made me do it every day. And so that's why with my morning vlogs or recaps of my speed art is that I can try and do it every day, see how I go. It's kind of like a goal, and I can share my art, and I can also do a few vlogs like this where I can share kind of what I'm thinking about as to how I can hopefully progress to finding some time to create some art, because for some reason it's got more and more difficult as I've gotten older. When you're a kid, you are encouraged to become an artist and do artwork and paint and draw and all these things. And for some reason, when you're an adult, that goes away. And I don't know why, because I think it's an important part of being a human, is being able to express yourself creatively in some way, even if it's just for your own entertainment. It doesn't even have to be for anyone else or for making a living or anything like that. I think it's something creative that everybody should do. And so I'm trying to find the little bits and pieces of time that I have left between running a 6-day-a-week cafe art gallery, being a dad, trying to stay sane by having enough sleep, because I've found that when I skip sleep, it's really it just doesn't work. So they're my ideas. Let's see if they work. Let's see how much illustration I can get done. And Super Scout is now off to the printers after these edits for the final print, and we should be receiving some boxes of books very soon. So that's really exciting. And there was a massive gap of 6 months or more between when we'd last finished this book to actually finishing it, because life happens. So also you got to not be too hard on yourself, I think. So until next time, see you then.